artwork. So what we're going to do is we are going to learn about the 7 elements of art, and color is one of them, which is what we focused on before. So I'm going to show you how to create what we need to create with both the in a bound journal like what I have, or if you have something like this, which is just a like a sketch pad with the glue at the end. So the first thing we're going to do, since the paper is loose on the bottom for this one, we're going to take this corner and we are going to line it up on the edge. And we are going to fold it so that it makes essentially a triangle. And I'm going to show you in my sketchbook. Now, because the sketchbook opens on this end, I'm going to take the top corner and I'm going to fold it down into the crease of my book. And I'm going to fold this and press. Now I'm going to take my pencil and lightly trace the edge of the paper so that now I have a square. And so now I'm going to take this and I'm going to lightly trace the edge of this paper as well. If you get little marks like this, it's fine. We're going to, this is the back of the paper anyways. So now we have our square with that line. And what we're going to do is this crease that has already been created that goes from corner to corner. We're going to take our ruler. We're going to line this up on that crease. We're going to draw our line. So then we're going to go from corner to corner on this end. And there we go. Now, using that point that crosses over, I'm going to take my ruler, make sure that my ruler lines up on the edge of my paper on this end. Make sure it goes across here, press down in the middle, and I'm going to make a line through. Now, I can either use the edge of the paper to line my ruler up for this one, or I can use the line that was drawn earlier. But it is easier for me if I use the edge of the paper, because then I can place my thumb there. Then I'm going to line my ruler up, and I'm going to draw my line through. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections. Now there's only 7 elements, and we are going to fill each section with a different element. But one of them, it doesn't matter which one you pick, but you're going to pick one, and you are going to write in block letters, in cursive letters, bubble letters, whatever you want. You're going to write elements of art in one of the sections. So I went in and I have just wrote in cursive the elements of art. That's all really you need to do. If you want to do something a little fancier, you're more than welcome to. So for this first one, I know that in my directions it's probably in a different step. It doesn't really matter which one goes in which section. I'm just going to draw the easiest one first, and I'm going to go ahead and draw in this section lines. So actually the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to label it. So I'm going to label this as lines. And then within this shape, you can use a pen or Sharpie, or you can go ahead and practice with pencil first if you're not too good with drawing lines. But I actually want to go ahead with my pen, and I want to trace this line so I have a very distinct line. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to fill this with lines. So I'm going to do some dashes here. Let's do some zigzags. And let's go. Now this section will stay black and white. We're not actually going to color it. We're just filling it with lines. So let's do some dash and dotted lines. You can make them up however you want. You can make some swirls or some loops. Make some going back and forth loops. Let's see. I'm going to let's make some scalloped lines, like right here, like a cloud, just around the title of my box. I kind of really like this line. So I'm going to make another one. Let's do some, I guess this is what I could call a zipper line. You can kind of go in and just make any line that you want. Let's see. Let's make some wavy lines here. How about some like crest? Let's make a scribble line. And actually, I want to grab a marker, because sometimes your lines are not just like in the way that it's made. Sometimes it's, you can have like a thicker line or a thinner line. Those count as well. It's not straight, but go in. Now you do not have to copy any of the lines. Remember, you can create your own lines in your own way. If you want to make them come out this way, you can. It's totally up to you. At this point, I think I'm just going to need to fill in this whole little section. Okay. Now, let's see. Let's go to this next section, and I'm going to do, let's call this one shape. Sorry, I have to turn my paper so I can write. So I'm going to do shapes. I'm going to write this one in cursive. And then I'm going to fill it in with different shapes. So we can do some squares, some organic shapes. Let's do triangles, rhombus. That's another square. I was trying to make a, let's do a pentagram, trapezoid, or I think that's a trapezoid. Circles, hearts, stars. Let's see. Moon. Let's do a plus sign. Cloud. Let's do starburst. So you can actually go in and fill this with different shapes. Now, if you want this section to be in color, it is completely up to you. I'm going to go ahead and start filling in some more shapes for myself. So I've gone in and I've added some more shapes to take up the space. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to, I'm just going to show you that it doesn't matter where you put this in your large square. There's not a specific order. So I'm just actually going to go to this one. And we're going to work on colors. So I'm going to switch to my pencil. And I'm going to go here and I'm actually going to we're going to color this in, so this is color. So I'm going to color this in rainbow form. So you can actually start no matter which one you want. It doesn't matter if you start here or you start down here, or if you start in this corner, it doesn't matter. So we're going to do the rainbow. So we're going to go red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. Now, if you have a variety of color, you could go like indigo, which is a dark blue, like a bluish purple. You can go indigo, violet, and maybe pink. That's totally up to you. And that's what I'm going to do. Make sure that even though I've marked it with the color initials, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and purple, when you go to color in your section, make sure that you go ahead and erase your pencil marks, because when you go over it with a coloring pencil, you may not be able to erase it very well. If you get to a point and you want to slightly blend some colors, you can slightly go over the color previously to kind of just very lightly to blend it so that it's a smoother transition between colors. So now I have my color section. I did forget to write color in there. So I'm actually going to write it across here on top with my Sharpie. So and there I have color. So for this next section, I'm actually going to do value. And so what I'm going to do is I want us to make both a black and white value chart or a black value chart. And then I also want us to make a color value chart. And so what I want us to do is I want us to split this a section in half. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to go right here. So you can make them both go from dark to light or from dark to light this way. It does not matter which way. it is easier to go with a section into 10 pieces. And if we can get up to 7 will work. So I'm going to just take my ruler, go right along the straight edge. If you have a straight edge, it'll work too. So that's 1 section, 2 section, 3, 4, 5. All right. 6. So I want that one to be a little bit wider. Let me go back and erase this. I do know that I want, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time going super dark on this end, so I will make it go from darker to lighter. And in some cases, this may create kind of an illusion. So for this first box, I'm going to go ahead and start with just using a pencil, and I'm going to fill in this section as dark as I can possibly make it. Just keep going. Now, if you have a art kit with the drawing pencils, this is the section that you would do your 6B. However, I would be very, very careful because you taking your hand and slightly wiping it can smear. So let it be a section that you know you're not going to touch. So perhaps even put it next to your elements of art section, because you know your hand is not going to rest on top of it. Now, if you know that you're going to be constantly putting your hands on the paper, it is highly suggestible, because you don't want your paper to look like it's been dragged on the ground. You just simply take another piece of paper when you work on another section and put your hand on top. So it'll end up on the piece of paper and not on your art that you're working on. So I'm going to go to the next section, and I'm going to start pretty light. Fill in this space. And then I'm just going to go darker to the point that I almost get quite as dark as this one. I know it's kind of hard to see on the camera. It does not help that my light in this room is not the best for this. So that's my super dark. That's my next dark. And then I'm going to move on to this box. And I'm going to go dark, but not too dark, because I need it to look like it's fading. All right. And I'm going to go to the next one. Now, when you shade, it does kind of help if you go in the same direction. But as you can see, I do go in a couple of directions just for evenness sake. But just do this lightly. I know some people want to smear with their fingers, so try not to. And then we're going to go to this next box, and I'm even going to go lighter. It does help if you keep your pencil also pretty sharp. Okay. And then we're going to go even lighter on this next box. And get this away. And then I'm going to erase my little stray pencil marks that are in this areas. Okay. And so there is my black and white. Now, when you're doing value with coloring pencils, it's going to be a little different, simply because you may have to add a little bit of a black or a darker color to kind of create some of the values. So what I'm going to do, sorry, I know you hear me with my pencils. I'm going to use black and dark blue. Let me sharpen my pencils. There we go. And of course, I'm going to place my paper down on top of the section that I've just colored to keep my hands from smudging all of that hard work I just did. So I'm going to take my blue. Make sure I can see my pencil line. And I'm going to fill in this section. Now I'm going to go pretty dark. And then I'm going to go slightly over it with the black, since I know that this is going to be my darkest of the blue. Then I'm going to go to this next one, fill it in with the dark blue. And I know that's not quite dark enough, so I'm going to go in very, very lightly over the whole thing with the black. Then I'm going to go over this section with the blue, and now I don't need the black anymore at this point, because now it is the value that I need this blue to be at. So go in. Then I'm going to go over this part with the blue, and I'm just going to go over it very lightly. Not too light though. I just need it to be the next value. Try and use precise control. You don't want to go all over the place. And then we're going to fill in this next box and go over it lightly. And this away. And this one. Very, very lightly. You might not be able to see it on the screen, but it is pretty light. And then, actually, I might just leave this box white so I don't have to worry about it. And there we have one in black and white and one in color.